Hello everyone, Mark Stepp here. Just wanted to share a video of Emily Magana back in December. She was doing a workflow workshop and just having a lot of fun with clients and stuff, answering questions. But she took the concept of a workflow hacking and taking the client nurture aspects of it, taking an existing workflow, creating a new one from it, and that's what workflow hacking is. So just want to share this with you. Emily Magana is great. She's on our team from Realvolve and shared some really great stuff. So enjoy this video.
So a little bit about my background. I come from a virtual assistant position. My sister's agent needed help. She was willing to teach me real estate. And so I was really able to formulate a solid suite of workflows that handled our business needs. So a few for leads, a couple for buyers, a really great selling listing package of workflows, and then database and Sphere. So that's going to be definitely our buckets that we try to work through with you guys. We are going to jump into past client Sphere today, a really great contact nurture workflow. If you guys got my email to kind of just remind everyone of the appointment, there is no better time than right now through the holidays to reach out to your Sphere and let them know you care, especially this year, right? People just want to know that, like, I'm an agent, but how are you, right? How are you doing? How's your family? How's your kids, right? And then the workflow we're going to talk about is a 10-year follow-up to that initial nurture. So big power punch, quick win that we can get done today so that you guys are able to nurture your database until the next time we meet. So that's our big goal there. We are going for today to go ahead and click on over here into workflows. This is going to show you your entire suite of workflows that you have installed in your account today. So over here on the left, again, you're going to see a lot of extras because they're my personal workflows that I use. But what we're going to look for today is called the contact nurture workflow. So what I would have you guys do is come on over here to the left and go ahead and just search nurture. I know that that's one of the keywords that will make that come up for us. And you should be seeing one form or another of this contact nurture workflow. So what's funny is it's all the same workflow, guys. It's the exact same workflow, just based on the package that you were installed under. So it should all be the same. I'm going to go ahead and click into this 10-year nurture because I know that's not one I've edited yet. These other ones I've been poking and playing around in. What you're looking for is it should have 8 activities if it hasn't been edited, and you're going to see that down here by the drop down. That would be that we're, in the same workflow, working together. All right, so first things first, guys, right? What the heck is all this up here, right? Knowing what the editor is trying to ask you or show you is part of the pieces to all these puzzles. So trying to keep this super high level, but again, let us know if you have questions. You are more than able to rename the title of your templates. I would sit tight for now until we can get to the point where we're going to make a copy, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. We always want your titles to have some sort of code in the front that's going to connect the content of the workflow back here. So it's all searchable under the same code. Use with, these will come to you already functioning and built with the correct use with options. This is grayed out because you can't change it once a workflow has been built. So understanding there's always 3 databases in Realvolve. There's contacts, there's properties, and there's transactions, right? So this workflow is launched on contacts. So it's a contact workflow. Properties would be anything having to do with your listings are going to be properties in Realvolve. And then transactions are your buyers and sellers once they're under contract. So it'll always be one of those 3: contacts, properties, transactions. Descriptions, again, internally for you, just knowing what this is about. This workflow does have a walkthrough video included, which we found was really helpful. Hopefully this workshop will be enough for you, but it's here for you to watch if you wanted to after. Understanding.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
My 8 is not lit up.
Down here along the bottom?
Yes. It's
actually not gonna until you hover over it. Once you hover over it, it'll turn a darker shade of black.
Oh boy, sorry about that.
This is what this is for, guys. This is what it's for, right? Let's talk about alternative workflows really quick. The big picture here, and I want you to think about workflows like a domino chain, right? So when one falls, it should trigger the next and the next. This bad boy right here is 10 years of workflow. What else are you gonna need, right? 10 years down the road, we would probably start this one over again. The times where you are gonna want an alternate workflow is on the listing side. We go from listing appointment to pre-MLS to active MLS, right? All three are property workflows. One triggers the next, triggers the next. That's the big power of an alternate workflow. In this situation, there is none, and that's okay. Tagging here is just tagging the workflow. So if you wanted to tag nurture, or you wanted to tag sphere, right? All that's gonna do is create this tag on the workflow specifically. It doesn't get applied to anyone who's on the workflow. It is just tagging this workflow. Really important to remember.
What's that mean though?
It's only going to be searchable, right? So I was able to search by nurture because nurture's in the title of the workflow. I don't really use tags. I would say it might be helpful for you while you're trying to sort all your workflows is apply tags like listing, transaction, that sort of thing. Again, we're going to whittle your suite down to just your core workflows that you're going to use on a regular basis. So those tags are not hugely important, but they're there for you if you're that kind of brain where you want to segment them out into different buckets or tags, if that makes sense. We're going to talk about groups once we get into editing the workflow, and I'm going to show you where that plays out. It's not really viewable here yet, but we're going to get to it, don't worry. And then this past activity option as well, right? These are going to come to you built with our suggested settings. In this instance, we're saying it's going to start from the next valid annual date. So let's go ahead and open up these activities. What this means is when it comes time to celebrate someone's home purchase, home sale, their birthdays, I'm not looking to celebrate last year's birthday. I'm only looking ahead to the next valid annual date. So it looks at the year, it looks at the month and the day. It does not look at the year, right? Because those are just an annual repeating celebration. Everyone's tracking it so far?
Can you tell me again how you got to that? I apologize. I did not
You're good.
know it.
It's this double chevron. It defaults to closed when you first come in. So you have to expand it to see the activities.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Now let's go back to this copy thing, right? Okay, what I'm gonna say is this. When I was learning workflows, I broke them. I made edits that I thought were right, and they weren't. And I didn't make a copy first, so I didn't have the master blueprint to come back and check. So your best practice as a new Realvolve user is always gonna be to come down here, copy the workflow, so that you are gonna make all your edits and changes and tweaks in the copied version. And what we were saying is you can absolutely call it whatever you want. I would suggest keeping, the 1RV10 and then throw your initials at the end. So it's still searchable by the 1RV10, but you're gonna know yours apart from the original because your initials will then be in the back end of the code. We're gonna go ahead and make a copy here. Really important, and this is a great talking point, the more you know about how Realvolve works, the less errors or mistakes will happen. What I just did is copied the workflow. Do you see this little yellow bar up here on the top? It said it's copied into the new workflow. That means it's indexing the workflow in the background and it's actually making that copied version. So you're gonna see it over here on the left as well as down here, right? So now this is my copied version. This is the master. Do you see how the wording changes once I've clicked down into the different workflow? So really important that you're seeing this one in blue is the workflow that you're in and actively editing. So my suggestion is when you go to first make that copy, make sure that you in fact are in the original you copied and then click up into the copied named workflow. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to click in and index for you. So again, it's just clicking out, clicking back in, making sure that what you see in the blue over here is also the title over here. So did you see how that switched as I clicked from one to the next? Again,
Yes.
just make sure that you're editing the one you copied and not the master. It's just a little mental note to check. So now let's get into the workflow itself. Let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and open these activities here. And what I really want to do first is just scan the workflow to see what it's all about, right? So I know there's 8 activities. I can see here there's a Q1 call, Q2 call, right? This is 0 days after start date, so starting of the workflow. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. What's really cool, and this is an added feature we didn't used to have, is these little icons here below, which is basically saying this activity has an action, which means there's something happening in there. Email, a text, something is actionable in there. There is a checklist included, which we'll get to that in a minute. And this activity is set to repeat. Remember, I said this workflow goes on for 10 years, but what you're seeing here is only 9 months, right? So these are gonna repeat every year for the full 10 years, each quarter is what that's gonna do for you. And then you're going to see here, it's been 10 years of contact nurture, 10 years after start date. So this is the true end of the workflow. And then you're going to see down here, we've got a birthday, a home purchase, and a home sale. Both of these also have actions, and these are set to repeating. What we did for the home sale, and this was my thought process behind it, if they sold with you and didn't turn around and buy again, where'd they go? Right? They most likely moved out of the area, but they probably still have friends and family left in town that you could potentially help and serve, right? So that's why the home sale is a call, but we made the home purchase an email, because the idea there is congratulations, it's been a whole year, hope we love your home, all that good stuff, right? But that's why we've got email, and then this one is in as a call. So now what I want to do, once I understand the big picture of what the workflow is trying to do, is come in and look at each activity. This is where you guys are going to get to customize and tweak this to what you want to do. So right out of the gate, I'm seeing a couple things that I would want to change personally for me. I love sending cards. I think it's sweet and it's kind and it's thoughtful for people to go to their mailbox and open a card. But I need to be reminded before the stuff, right? So I can actually find a card I like, email, address the envelopes and all that good stuff. So I know I want to add a reminder 7 days before their birthday. That gives me time to find it, address it, and get it in the mail on time for their birthday. I also want to do the same for a home purchase. I think that's a nice touch. A lot of you guys probably have, a box of cards around that you could send for the home anniversary situation. So I know I want to do those. I want to get reminders before each of those events. So right out of the gate, I'm starting to make a plan, right, in my head of what I want. So I'm going to make sure that we do 7 days before, B-Day, and purchase. But then beyond that, I really want to see what's going on with these quarterly calls, right? It said there's an action. What kind of action? What's going on? So in order to see how this activity is actually truly built out, we're going to hit this pencil to go ahead and open it or edit. Here now, I'm able to see the whole activity. Remember, it said there was a checklist involved. So what you're seeing down here are the important fields that we know at Realvolve really hit home that contact record. My whole thing is if I'm going to have a database, I want to make it work for me. In the beginning, it's going to be you working for it, getting it updated, updating their contact information, right? But hopefully the vision there is on this Q1 call, we're going to help you scrub their contact record for what we know is important so that their record is now the best it could possibly be. So we've got last email, last call. We know that that's important to show them as being a nurtured client. Making sure that you've got the best of the best information, contacts, home address, if they were referred, what their birthday is, right? So we got to know when their birthday is in order to schedule a birthday reminder. So hopefully we can catch that right away. The other things down here that are big power punches for a contact record is the type, stage, and status. These are all part of their classifications. And actually, I would scooch this out of order, but that's just me being neurotic about that. It's making sure that their classifications are set correctly. So are they a past client? Are they an active client? We called this contact nurture because it really could put on, your sphere. You could put it on a lender, a preferred vendor. We had this one loan officer who was a beautiful, kind person, but their strengths were not in the details of actually updating their agents what the current rates and promotions were. So I put this workflow on them, and I only applied the quarterly touches so that I was reaching out to him because I loved him and I wanted to help him, but I needed to remember that he wasn't going to let me know. So I had to ask him. So I could use that quarterly piece to this. So lots of applications. That's why we called it contact nurture and not just past client. It truly is great for any contact.
Emily?
Yeah.
2 questions. How did you drag that?
It's this little, we call it the hamburger patty. There's probably a real word for it, but it lets you sort and drag by clicking on that little hamburger.
Got it. And the other question is, why does it ask for and the birthday a year? Because you rarely know that information.
It's so funny, right? I put 1776 for everyone's year because we know they're not born then. And it gives Realvolve what it's asking for. So pick a year that is a bogus year, but it does require a year. That goes back to our engineers, right? Our engineers felt like that was important to data, but we know as agents, we're not going to know that.
And you put that in just in your each contact, you put that as the year of your birthday. Is that what you said, Emily?
I do. Yeah, just because I know 1776. If I saw like a 1982, it could be their year, right? But
yeah, that's smart. I had it entered in another system and it confused me because I wasn't thinking, and I would say like Thursday, December 13th. And in my mind, I just had Thursday instead of December 13th. So then I was sending cards and it took me a minute to realize I was like totally off.
Yeah. Right. Little tips and tricks. My goal for you is to make it as easy as possible. The rest of this, obviously, right, we know is important. It's only helpful if it's helpful to you. I nerd out on data. I love this stuff. If you look at this checklist and you're like, oh my gosh, take it away. You don't have to apply all this stuff. That's what's so great. But I can speak to the fact that it's here for a reason. I know it's important. So don't just be delete happy. Make sure that you know what you're deleting. If you're never going to track birthdays, delete birthdays, right? But we know birthdays are a really nice touch. So once it's deleted, it's deleted. Does that make sense?
But the question, Emily, is it just telling you want to know all this stuff, or are you actually entering this information right here while you're in this workflow?
When you start the workflow, and we're gonna launch this before we wrap, it's gonna backfill the information. So this will come up as an open checklist for you to enter in the data on the contact record, and then it backfills to their fields that we've designated here. And I'll show you what that looks like. This is just an example. We already have the birth date down here, but if you wanted to add other fields, or let's say you accidentally deleted the stage and you're like, oh shoot, I really actually want that back. You could come in here. You're just gonna type what you know you're looking for. So if I know I'm looking for the birth date, I'm gonna bracket, start to type, and right there's my birthday. What you're looking for is the brackets on the front and the brackets on the back, and then you're gonna hit enter to actually have that save. And it'll always default to the bottom of your list. So if you're looking to drag that up, you would go ahead and put that there. You're gonna see here, now here's the deal. I like calling people. I don't always have a chance. I've got young kids, we're a busy family. My house is not always conducive to making nurturing phone calls. So I might really try to call on Q1, but I might not have that opportunity. We did give you guys an email and a text here as well. So the vision would be try, right? Give them some love, but there's more than one way to love someone. Even my grandma, she's 88 years old. She texts me, I text her. I still count that as my grandma loves me, right? It'll be a, hey sunshine, how are you kind of message, right? So it's 2020, we can text, we can email, and have it still be a personal touch. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you guys what those emails are and how you're going to find them.
What's a bracket? It's not the same as parenthesis, is it?
It's actually going to be right above your enter or return key. And you want to use the squared one, not the shifted rounded one.
Thank you.
You bet. So remember I said, don't change the title of the workflow, add your initials at the end. The reason is all of our content, emails and texts are searchable by this one RV10. So what I'm going to say to you is keep your workflow open in one tab, but go ahead and come over here to templates, right click and open in a new tab. Because what I want you to be able to do is still be in here in your workflow, right? Make your edits, make your tweaks and changes, but also be able to simultaneously look at the template, see what you like, make a change, and that's going to be searchable by the 1RV10, right? That code in the front. So come on in here to templates. We are going to search 1RV10. Now you guys are going to see all my duplicates and triplicates because I've installed this too many times. You should only have one. So what I have here is, right? Here's my text. Here's my text. Here's all my other stuff. You don't want to have this mess. You want to have one of each template that you're going to use. But what I'm looking for is these quarterly texts and quarterly emails, right? Because we know over here in the workflow, there's the checking in. If I click on this to actually see which template I'm talking about, I know it's the quarterly because I'm in the quarterly activity, but you can actually double check what template it is you're looking for. So right here, email, quarterly check-in. You can get to the template by clicking this preview as well. It will go ahead and open it in a new tab, but as you're working your way down through the activities, it's just always easiest to have your templates open in that tab like I was talking about. So here's the template, email quarterly check-in. The idea is you're putting personal messaging here. So we gave you a template to start with, but it's not a big bodied message. You're going to say, you know, how are the kids, Emily? Hope your family is doing well, right? We want this to be a personal nurture. So the body of the message, let me see if it'll come up.
Emily, how do you find what template is associated with each workflow?
Yep, so when we were renaming our workflows, remember I said that these codes in the front needed to stay in place, 1RV10. So when I renamed it, I put my initials, Emily Magana, at the end.
Yeah, and mine was ECN, so I left it ECN.
Perfect.
RV10DH.
So then you would be able to come into your templates here and you would just search the ECN. Search that front part before you added the stuff at the end.
Got it. Okay, so ECN.
Those templates should come up there for you.
Okay, email quarterly check-in. Okay, so.
Sorry too. How did we open a new tab?
You're actually going to right click. So hopefully, are you on a mouse or a trackpad? Something that you, if you come up to templates, you're going to right click and open in a new tab.
Got it.
And I'll be honest, guys, we're going to have like 10 tabs open by the time this is all said and done. And it's okay.
And then we're coming and then we're searching templates.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And you're going to search your code. So if your workflows were different, like Diane was telling us, she only had the ECN. So she's searching her ECN code.
I only had 10-year relationship nurture, so.
Those should be 1RV10. Can you search 1RV10 for me? So big picture, here you go, right? I just wanted to take a minute, check in with you. This is my workflow that I edited and I send out to my clients. So as an educator, I'm making sure that your workflows are working.
Okay.
Let me get us into the actual quarterly white one. Here we go, right? So same idea, just checking in, hello, greeting. You're gonna put your personal message here and go ahead and edit the bodies of your messages with what you would wanna say. So each time that your quarterly activity comes up, you're personalizing the message to the person. It's a 30-second message, right? But it feels personal, like a personal nurture. So if you understand how to edit a checklist, how to look at the templates, That's starting the workflow, right? You know that you're good there. Let's go ahead and add in the 7 days before the birthday, because that would be a great one. I also want to talk about the groups while we're doing this. So right now you're going to see this workflow is just one general group. So when you go to start this workflow, you're saying, I want, oops, see, I'm in the 5. Let me go back to the 8. You're saying, I want all this. Every time I start the workflow, I want to put on all the things for all the people. I think there will be opportunities for you to maybe not do birthdays for everyone. Maybe they just bought with you and they didn't sell. So you don't need the purchase or sale. You only need the one or the other. Grouping allows us to segment each of these activities. We have to apply how much I need versus Jana versus Jackie or Diane, right? Because every contact is going to have a different data available for you. So what I want to get us first is those groups. So I'm going to come up here into groups and I'm going to go ahead and say add. And I want to say 1 for birthday. And I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to come down here again. Oops. And I'm going to say home sale. And I'm going to come again and I'm going to say home purchase. Oops.
And this is right. And you're kind of doing this on the whole thing, Emily? Or
Yep.
does it have to be in a set? Do we have to be in anything other than our main workflow?
You're going to do it for each workflow. So every workflow has different grouping available, right? What's groups in pre-MLS would be photography, staging. You know, are you going to do coming soon advertising? So just for this workflow, I think it's important to have these 4 groups. Where we're able to assign them is, let's go down here. So if we come into the birthday, right? This is my birthday activity. I want to put this in the birthday group. So if I'm not going to celebrate a birthday for this person, right? I don't have it. I'll never have it. I can come in here and I can say, this is birthday. So when I start the workflow, and I'm going to show you that, we'll see where that birthday gets applied. So go ahead and hit update there. And then I'm going to go ahead and real quick get us the purchase and the sale.
So
you have to add the groups up here first.
Okay.
Before they're available to be applied in the activity, right? So I had added home purchase and sale, but I didn't hit update. So now if I come down here, I'm going to come into the home purchase, go ahead and hit edit. And now I want to put this one in the purchase group. So I'm going to click on here into the group and I'm going to go ahead and say that, yep, this is my purchase. And update, update, update. Find the button, hit the button. Always look for update, because if you don't auto save, it's bitten me a lot and it's kind of super sad because you lose your work. And now here's our home sale. So let's go ahead and get that one in a group. And then we're going to add the 7 days before birthday reminder. So this guy is home sale. I'm going to come down here and say, yes, this is the home sale group for this activity. Big picture for adding a new activity, guys. We're just coming down here to where it says add another activity. I'm going to click the blue button. Here's where I'll say it's important for your data entry just to be consistent, right? I like how it has the contact name in the front. So when I see this on a calendar, out anywhere, it's going to say Emily Magana's birthday, right? Jackie Reiner's birthday. So I always like to insert the merge field for the, client name. So we're going to come here and I'm going to say name, go ahead and grab that. Now this one, I don't want it to say birthday. I'm going to say birthday reminder, right? Because we're going to make this 7 days before the birthday.
Emily, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If you don't have any data in the birthday field for somebody, will it just ignore these activities anyway?
It'll sit there, it'll apply the activity, but it will be unscheduled. So it'll be basically just kind of holding pattern unscheduled, because it's launching it, but it doesn't schedule it because there's no date to schedule. So I'll show you how we're going to apply it to avoid that. Let me get this one in real quick and then we're actually going to launch it. So first what I'm going to do is obviously put this is a birthday, right? So make sure that you're always putting it in your right groups. Birthday. Assigned to, this is really important if you have more than one user in your account. Right now, if I left this as is, I'm logged in as Emily Magana, so this would be assigned to Emily Magana. If you want to share your workflows to other users in your account, we suggest the record owner. So my contacts are mine. I'm the record owner. It applies me. Jana's owner of her contacts. It would apply her to be assigned to those. So it's just, again, saving you time. Even if you're not a team now, but you think you will be someday, always build it to the role or the team you want to have, not as it stands in this moment, right? So you can keep the workflow and not really have to change anything. The only thing for this activity, keeping this super basic for the first time that we're going through all this stuff, is the schedule, right? So who it's assigned to, it's just a to-do task for me, but I need this 7 days before the birthday so I can get the card. So I'm going to come on in here. Whoops, sorry, that was me clicking. I'm going to come on in here and I'm going to say 7. Oh, stop it. My
Schedule.
keyboard. 7 days before. And then I'm going to come on in here to say, whoops, birthday. It's actually right down there. Let me scooch my screen down. So schedule, right? And you actually have all these choices. So you would do this exact same thing for home purchase. If you wanted to have a 7-day reminder before to give them the card for the purchase. Home sale, if you wanted anything for that. Always coming in here. And then you can actually just scroll to see all your different choices. So there's my purchase. There's my sale, right? If I do nothing more, this is just a to-do assigned to the owner to go ahead and remind you 7 days before the birthday. So to me, I feel like that's good enough. That's all I really need for this one. I'm going to go ahead and hit add.
Do you put repeat yearly?
You're the best. Look at you, Diane. Thank you. You would. Let's talk about that. So right here, 7 days before. Coming on over here, right, in our repeat frequency, we have to go ahead and say yearly. And then I'm going to say every 1 year. Now, 10 years is big, right, guys? Like, let's be honest. Are we just starting our career? We'll definitely be still trying to do this for 10 years. I feel like 10 years is a solid workflow. So I'm going to say after 10 occurrences, meaning at the end of 10, we know that we're going to start this workflow over or move on. Thank you, Diane. Good catch. Go ahead and hit save there now, right? So there's my 7 days before, and there's on my day.
What about the remind by? If you hit none, then how does it remind you?
So here's what I'm going to say. There is that remind by option. I'm always going to coach anyone I ever work with to get into Realvolve and look at your activities. That should be how you're utilizing the system. There is a remind by to send you a separate email. That's going to blow up your inbox. You don't want an email reminder for each activity, right? That's a lot. I could see a pop-up. You know, it's going to be a little pop-up if you're in Realvolve. I don't worry about a remind by because I start my day in Realvolve, I check in midday, and I end my day. At the very least, you guys should be getting a daily email with a summary of all your activities that you have going on for the day. So that essentially is the remind by. You have a daily email, and then you need to get into Realvolve. Really good point, though. Let's go ahead and hit update, and I want to show you guys how we can apply this and where those groups are going to really come into play. And then going back to the unscheduled birthdays, I'll show you how that plays out as well. I'm going to go into my record because I think I have enough dates on mine. So what I'm going to do is search by name. This is my Realvolve account. So if I keep that global search on, and I come in here and search by my name, there's 285 records because I'm mentioned or owner of 285 people. If you simply choose this drop down to search by name, now it's looking for Emily Magana specifically. There's only one of me. So I'm going to go ahead and click onto my record. Now this is a contact, past client. I would always put yourself on a workflow and test it on yourself so you can see it in action before you put people on it. Just my best practice. First, what you're going to do is come on over here and you want to look at the contact record. Do you have a birthday? Do you need a birthday, right? What do you got going on? I'm able to see here, I have a birth date, I have a home sale, and I have a home purchase, right? I'm going to take out the sale so you guys can see what it looks like when you are missing one, just in case it's going to happen eventually, right? You're going to start the workflow and someone's going to be missing something. Let's go ahead now. We're going to go on to Radar. We are going to start a workflow. And I'm going to come on over here and I'm going to say nurture. And you know what? Guys, I edited the wrong one. I edited my master. I broke my rule.
Oh, no.
So don't pull an Emily, okay? Go into your copied version. But for
Thank you. That's pretty.
here we go. So here's our groups, right, guys? So if I know I don't have a home sale, I uncheck that box. And then because we put it in the home sale group, see how now that activity is unchecked? It's not going to get applied, right? So this is your way to quickly and efficiently use as much of the workflow as you needed. So if you just want to put like that lender situation on, right, where you just have the quarterly calls and none of those milestone dates, you could uncheck each of those groups, only apply the quarters, and you're good to go. Let's go ahead and put the whole thing on so I can show you what it looks like when it's unscheduled. So we're going to hit next. Let's go ahead. You know what, Jana, I'll put it to you since I'm me and you're you. So right here is another way to catch your unscheduled dates, right? So you can see here that I don't have a date. The reason I have you go to the contact tab is so you can catch it in the group, but this would kind of be your safety net to make sure that you're not missing anything. This is my birthday, right? The start date of the workflow. And then here's my home purchase. So I'm going to still leave this empty. We're going to go ahead and click done. So again, always looking for these yellow bars, right? Yellow bar when we copy the workflow, give it a minute to index before you move. It's saying that it's applying the workflow. That last little blip said that it's creating the activities. You're still going to give it a minute. If you think about all the data that Realvolve is trying to index for you, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. And I know I'm guilty of that instant, like, what do you mean it didn't happen right this moment? It's not ready. So I would say give it a minute. You're going to know it's ready when you come over here to activities and you see the activities have launched. So you see it's again, my internet's trying to load. Come on. Don't fail me now.
If you have like the 4 groups and you have them in every group, they're not going to get it 4 times.
Right. Those groups are just for those activities. So if I scroll down here, there's my quarterly calls, and then because my birth date, whoops, there's all my birthdays, November. Here's my home purchases. Now what I want to show you is all the way down here at the very bottom is going to be those sale dates, right? Because these have triggers. I had a schedule for these. My sale does not, and it's going to be way down here, chunked at the bottom. So see how it would just sit here, unscheduled, sad, never notifying you because there's no date assigned. Another big point that I'll make is, you know, in a perfect world, when you come into Realvolve and you're looking to just get your stuff done, I would always recommend you come here to the dashboard, right? Because you're going to have contacts and properties and transactions, right? You're going to have all these different workflows running for you. You're going to see it all right here from this checklist item. So what we do is, let me just show you Jana's because 515 guys, that's a lot. So Jana, we know we applied this. Come on over here to, whoops, Jana. So now, only 5. That's much better. But now you're going to see in this activity list, the unscheduleds default to the top. So let's say you've launched this on 50 past clients and none of them have a birthday. You're going to have 50 activities in this list, all unscheduled. So the big benefit of not applying an activity unless you have a date is for this view to not get clouded up. Now, for me, this is nice, right? Because I know I don't have a home sale. I can come over here and I can delete it. If they didn't truly buy with me, cell, and I accidentally applied it, you're going to come up here and you're just going to delete, right? And I'm going to say delete, permanent deletion. Yes. So now I'm good. I'm back in business, right? Let's go ahead and look at this Q1 call. So here's that big checklist win that we were talking about. Here's all the fields, right? Everything that I know is important. Now, I have a lot of this pre-filled because my contact record already had it on it. But anything that's empty means it's empty. I don't have that. So let's go ahead and say like, yep, this is my last email date. I'm going to go ahead and call today. So we can go ahead and just say today. I'm going to make that call. This is my true best information. This notes, kids home, mom losing her mind, send wine, right? We can all relate. Notes.
How did you get that drop down, Emily?
So it actually, by clicking on, let me see if I can get out of here. If I close, just by checking on this box to complete the activity, it opens up the checklist for me. And then as I scroll down here, let me show you one, right? Like all of these are going to be pre-filled. Here's a great preferred contact method. Anything that has just buttons to choose will just show you the choices that are there. I like text. Let's say text. Here's those type, stage, and statuses I know are important, right? I'm a past client, client type, category, I'm going to say I'm an A. Each of these things has to be addressed, but also completed over here on the left. So this main activity is not going to go away until I've addressed the whole checklist item. But what I want to show you more is, like, let's say I tried to call, I didn't answer. I could close or save and close and come back to it, right? Because there's still pieces missing. That's the one thing I loved, especially when it comes to transactions. If I wasn't able to truly complete a task, it doesn't go away. You know, nothing was worse than those 2 a.m. panics, waking up thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell the sellers blah, 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 right? Or I forgot to send that opening email. Like, I hated those moments. And the checklist just ensure that those don't ever happen again. So real quick, I know we're out of time. I'm trying to honor our hour here, but I want to show you on my record now, over on my contact, my category was updated, right? I'm an A because I filled it in the checklist. There's my note, guys, because I actually hit save. But yeah, big picture here. If you did accidentally get, start happy and started more than you can call, it's just coming in here and editing that. So if I want to say, nope, I don't want to call on the 22nd, we can come in here and we can go ahead and reschedule. So like Diane was saying, let's go ahead and say we're going to finish this on the 15th, right? Give everyone a chance to get back in the swing of life and hit save. So now I only want to save this activity unless, remember in the workflow, it was 3 months after start date, 6 months, 9 months. If you want to push the whole thing back, we would say following activities as well, because I don't think you need to call sooner than every 3 months. So we would have essentially queued up the Q2 call a month earlier. Does that make sense?
Yes, and we could have done that in the workflow if we would have changed it there.
Exactly. Yep. This is just after it's been launched if you want to reschedule.
So how would you undo all that if you wanted the workflow to stop for that person?
Yep. So I would find the very next activity, right? So here is the next queue in March. I could come in here and hit the X. And this is where you could say all related activities to the same workflow and delete all remaining. And it's deleting the rest of what's left on that workflow. Good stuff, guys. First workshop. How are we feeling?
Great information. Thank you so much.
Better than when you came, hopefully.
Awesome, Emily. Thank you.
You bet. So just so everyone's aware, next time I want to get into leads, right? Let's hit 2021 off with some killer lead workflows. That was my plan for our January workshop. All right, guys. Well, happy holidays. Hopefully we'll have a great 2021 and we'll get our workflows out there, right?
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you. Great information.
Thanks, guys.
Great job, Emily.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.